yeah.
Hey, we are finally live for the longly anticipated show. This is Big Old Belt Podcast. I'm Two Chains. That's my co-host Jamal, and we have a special guest tonight. Well, it's no other. We've been promoting it all week, so you guys should know who it is. It's no other than the queen of the night. Mailing is popping in California right now too. She's on remote. We got Ariel Monroe, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, lady?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
We're good. We're good. Now, before we start, I'm gonna have to give you two compliments. The first one is for you to be like mobile, you have good connection to some people who's been stationary. Like that's no lie.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. You know what? It's cricket, man. It's cricket. You know,
cricket.
Oh yeah. You'll be getting an endorsement from them after that. That's the best place they've ever got.
I may have money, but you know I'm frugal, so.
Cricket, cut her a check. She owes you.
Yeah. Come on, Cricket, cut me a check.
So
let me get a discount on the phone bill or something.
So you're not home. You're not back. I mean, you're from Clearwater, but I don't think you're living in Clearwater right now, right?
No. I live in Orlando now.
Okay, Orlando, nice. A good part of Florida. Actually, I'm absolutely in love with Clearwater. I think it's one of the best cities I've ever visited for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Even though the Scientology thing kind of scares me a little bit.
Well, yeah, they're trying to take it over, but you know, Clearwater, we're getting that back though. We're getting that back slowly but surely.
So, you're in LA right now.
Yeah.
And you have an exciting big weekend coming. You're doing 3 shows, including working with you'll be with Rise, you'll be AWS, and I'm sorry, you're working 2 shows this weekend.
Right, yeah.
And then you have a show with Shine coming up December 15th. So we'll definitely go over all of that. We got some other questions and stuff, but yeah, okay. We're gonna have a good time.
Of course. We always do.
So first off, I just want to say thank you for taking your time out of your busy weekend to come on the show. I was very excited in order to get this on last minute. So definitely want to say thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem.
And so yeah. So you're from Clearwater, already said that. I listened to and did a lot of research on you, obviously. So much material out there. And one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was about, so you were in the military, you come from a military family.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So everybody's in the military.
Yeah, basically, like my dad, my stepdad, my grandpa, you know, they're all military folks.
Okay. And you were also in the military at the point. You were fire truck mechanic.
Yeah, I was a fire truck mechanic in the Air Force.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandfather, who was in the Navy, he was like, "Oh no, go to the Air Force. You're smart."
Yeah.
Like,
okay. That's definitely the stereotype there. All the smart people go to the Air Force.
This is true.
And
all of the smart people under 6 foot go to the Air Force.
Yeah, that sounds about right. There was like 0 tall dudes in the Air Force. 0.
Right.
And you were given an honorable discharge, am I correct?
Yes.
And
of course.
If you can explain that a little bit, how you came about with that.
Well, I actually have Crohn's disease,
and
it was one of those conditions where I couldn't do my job effectively, so they had to medically discharge me. Unfortunately, well, at least they thought I couldn't do my job correctly. I mean, I was doing it. If I tell it, I was doing it because I was the smallest person there.
Yeah.
So, but they were like, "Oh, we have to let you go because Crohn's is." It's up and down, you never know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll leave, but you got to pay me.
So with having that, and you've been, you've always been in some type of sports. I mean, I read that you said you've always been and done something athletic forever. So you just always kept the ground running. So upon that, at some point, there's a bridge here between leaving the military and saying, you know what, what's going to be my next move?
Yeah. After I got out of the military, I was like, oh, what am I going to do? So I started working at GameStop. I started as like a seasonal hire, went all the way up to store manager, worked my way up. And I was just like, you know what? I really want to wrestle, but I just wanted to wait until like my body got better in a sense. So I started training with high spots with George South and Cedric Alexander and Caleb Konley. And then the rest was kind of like history. I just fell in love with wrestling all over again. And I just really wanted to succeed and go out and show people that, hey, I can entertain the crowd as well. So,
So yeah, you say you trained by George South, and I mean you're definitely in a group, a good set of company here of people he's trained. I mean, you've already said Cedric, Tessa Blanchard was also trained by him, Scott Dawson, Savannah Evans. So I mean, you come from a good pedigree of people being trained from under him. So even if no one's seen anything he's ever done, there has to be suspicion of like, oh yeah, she must be something, you know.
Oh yeah, because George is the best.
Yeah.
He really truly is. He knows what he's doing and he has patience.
Right.
So that's definitely a plus. You have to have patience to teach anybody anything.
Yeah.
And George has a lot of that.
Yeah.
No, that sounds great. I have a question though. So you started, training and it's been going well. Last year in August, you were on WWE television. Could you take us, even though the result wasn't necessarily what we'd hoped for, it was still good to see you on my television.
Yeah.
Can you take us through that process? Like, did you call them? Did they call you? And next thing you know, you're in front of 15,000 people.
Yeah. How it happened is I got a phone call from my really good friend, Devin Nicole. And she's like, check your email. And I was like, okay. So I saw the email and it was like, oh, we want you to be a extra on Raw. And so when I went there, it was just her and I as far as females go. And they came up to me and they were like, hey, we want you to have a match tonight against Nia Jax. And of course, this is my first time ever at Raw because I always went to SmackDown because, in Charlotte, they only came, SmackDown was the only one that usually came through that town. So I was like, oh, this is my first time ever at Raw and I get to have a match. So, of course, I was nervous. And we were sitting there calling the match and everything. And I saw that most of the girls that had, extra spots, they didn't really get any offense whatsoever. So, of course, I was like vocal about my stuff. I was like, hey, it'd be good if I put this in there, just to make it, get that psychology in there. They're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, let's give her some offense. And I was like, yes, I'm going to beat my butt on TV. And I'm going to have my little girl talking about some, oh, mommy, you got your butt beat on TV. And I'm like, well, I got a couple hits in. So, but it was definitely a lot of fun and very, very nerve-wracking.
But before you go through the curtain and you're walking down the ramp and you still get the jobber entrance and all of that, how does that compare? Just setting up that brief interaction with Nia Jax compared to working an indie show. Do you have a lot more creativity on the indies, or was it just like there was a little bit more give and take that we hear the WWE is not famous for?
Yeah, it's definitely you have a lot more free range with creativity in the indies. That's for sure. But like working with the WWE was exhilarating for sure. It was definitely different from the indies because you just have a massive amount of people there, and like some people were even screaming my name, and I was like, oh wait, some people know me. Look at that, like I made it. But it's definitely a big difference. Like I really do enjoy the indies. I guess if I could pick one to do over and over and over again, I love the small town, small crowd. I get to interact with a whole bunch of people because I love meeting people. I love talking to kids and stuff. So that's a lot more, more of my element, I guess. Yeah. Like the big crowd is cool too, but I just like engaging with the fans.
Yeah, definitely have you quoted down for saying that one of the things that really gets you going in the wrestling community is for the love of the kids and their excitement, and it's just the adrenaline that you get. So
yeah.
I guess to piggy off that question that he asked too, also going through the curtains, did you feel the same sense of adrenaline or maybe a little bit of uncertainty?
I was nervous. I was definitely as nervous as I am on the indies, except I was told Seth Rollins pulled me to the side and he was like, "Hey, you can't see anybody, when you get out there, so there's no need to be nervous." So I was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "Oh well, I'll get out there. The light's gonna be hitting my eyes. I'm not gonna be seeing anything." But I went out there, and of course, you see everybody, even the people all the way at the top. So of course, in my mind, I'm like, Seth, like, God damn it, like, set me up for the okie doke, So, but honestly, it's like once that bell ringed, it was like a regular old show,
Yeah.
You're in there to do your job, and that's what it is. And it was so quick, it was over, It was just like a regular old match.
Yeah.
And then, it sets in, you're like, holy crap, did I just actually wrestle on Raw? Like, it starts to set in afterwards.
That's good. So you talked a little bit about your motivation getting into in wrestling. Now, I also have you down quoted for an experience that another Clearwater native in Linda Hogan of once telling you that don't become a wrestler and never date a wrestler. And you said you take this as motivation and did the complete opposite.
I mean, I'm a rebel a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna get into wrestling. I'm not gonna date a wrestler. I didn't see that in my cards, but then, you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. So yeah. I didn't expect it to happen, but it did. And then, of course, I got chewed out for it. But, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I'm praying mine's work out, slightly different than hers did.
Yeah. That's right. Because there's no trouble in your house, but there's trouble in paradise over there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
Well,
a whole lot of trouble.
Go ahead.
So then let's talk about it. Then you are dating a wrestler, engaged to Cedric Alexander,
right?
And one of the big moments we saw him at Nova Pro Wrestling's what was it? American Slam.
We saw y'all.
Now we know that you were there.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
so you're definitely there in beautiful downtown Fairfax. So the first question I have to say is, what's that like to see his career take off in the path and just skyrocket into the top without any ceiling, so to speak, particularly in the Cruiserweight Classic and that moment where he got the standing ovation? What does that do for you as a fan, because that's your man, and B, as a competitor, because, well, hell, if he can do it, I can too.
And if I can add one thing to that too, what was the atmosphere like? Because I mean, we wasn't there live, but literally that one moment, like, almost had me to tears of being just a fan of a guy to see somebody get an endorsement of such.
Right.
Like, epic.
What's funny is that I wasn't there that night.
Mm-hmm.
I was there the first night of the CWC, but we had some conflict and I couldn't get down there with our daughter, so I couldn't be there that day. So, but I did get a play-by-play by the man himself, Triple H. He was very excited to tell me how it happened, because I got Cedric's point of view, but hearing it from him was totally awesome, because you never think you're going to grow up and your significant other is going to make, Triple H mark out a little bit. So I was definitely happy about that. And just seeing him flourish is amazing. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better guy, and he's so humble, and he stayed humble the whole entire time, just to see his progress and him, dealing with, Ring of Honor, him wanting to quit wrestling, and, just being that backbone for somebody and seeing where they are now and knowing that you helped is such an amazing gift. Most people won't be able to, do that for their significant others, but I did, and it makes me feel great inside, and it also is my motivation, because I've seen that he can reach the top, and, we struggled for a very long time so that he could get up there. And now that he's up there, now it's my turn. And I just think that that's one of the best partnerships to have, where you're okay with, hey, I'm okay with getting in the back seat and, just letting you take control and get your shine, because I know that my time is going to come around, and it has. And he's been just as supportive, probably even more than I have or I was of him. So it's definitely motivation.
Now I know we are Steph Curry fans, But and I'm not really a fan of this guy, but the Kevin Durant man has once said, and I quote, "You are the real MVP."
Well, thank you.
For real. But yeah, that's really cool to hear that perspective. I mean, again, that was literally one of the most defining moments of like my wrestling fan career of seeing such. And you know, such a humble guy that has all the tools in the shed, and then absolutely, I mean, because we thought the show was off, and then it come back off. I was like, what's happening? And then I was like, holy crap, like for real.
Well, personally,
about somebody crying.
Yeah, for real.
Personally, for us, we had just seen him at Nova Pro Wrestling, and then they had just finished taping the first round, and he came up to Fairfax for the show, which was awesome. And then we just like quietly went up to him and said, "Dude, seriously, we know what happened. God damn, it was awesome." And he's like, "Dude, shut up. Nobody knows yet.
Yeah,
you're not supposed to know these things." But it was such a great time to see, like, we have like a not necessarily a personal connection because we're still just fanboys, but it is kind of like, well, damn, the little guy made it, and good for him. And it seemed like, you know, you're following somebody, you know, intimately, and then next thing you know, they're a really big deal. So that's great. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, now I got something also too. A compliment that came your way. So Amber Young, who's another indie wrestler, second generation wrestler of David Young, was quoted saying too that upon her return back to wrestling, that she would want to face you. And they asked, you know, why, and it was like, you know, and I quote, "That girl is definitely something special." How does it feel to hear another person, you know, give you that endorsement?
Wait, say the name one more time. There was these kids running back. You know,
Amber Young.
Oh, Amber. Oh, yeah. Oh, you know, that girl right there. I absolutely love her. Like, you talk about somebody being like your heart. Like, you know, like they make you smile and like laugh every time you're around them. Like,
yeah,
that's her. And just for her to say something like that, it warms my heart for real. Like, I would love to be in a ring with her, because I think that we already have good chemistry as friends. So I know that if we're working in the ring, it's going to be magic. I mean, you know, she may not win, but you know, it's going to be magic.
Go ahead, Jamal. I know you was about to say something.
So I was going to say, you know, back to, you know, you and Cedric and your relationship. You mentioned your daughter. How does motherhood affect your ability to travel during the wrestling business? Obviously, you live in Orlando, but you're in Los Angeles right now. Right. Are there any complications for that, or is it just part of the job?
There's not really any complications, honestly, because how the schedule works is Cedric's usually gone like Sunday through Wednesday or whatever, and he's here on the weekends, which gives me time to, you know, get bookings and travel and stuff on the actual weekends. I think the only thing that is rough about it is the timing, you know, as far as finding time for each other and finding time to be parents, you know, and finding, of course, me time.
Right.
It's a difficult juggle as far as you know, those things goes, but as far as like just having the time to get bookings and go, no, that's easy. That's the easy part.
All right. So you're out there in Los Angeles. What have you done? Have you done a little sightseeing, a little touring? Have you had any me time since you've been in LA?
Well, I used to live here, so I mean, I'm not really gonna sightsee. But you know, I ate though. Man, you know, yeah, man, we went to Bubble Gumps. You know, about to go to Cold Stone. I had a 3-day cleanse before I came here because I already knew. Once I'm around food that I really like, it's a wrap for me.
So, you say you do have a daughter in AJ. She's definitely made her social media presence with you as being another queen in her own. Yeah. So, your mom influenced you to join the military. It's something that she wanted to pursue, and you wanted to. I wouldn't. Would I say impress? So you know, you went towards that track, and obviously you come from a military family, so it makes sense. What's your idea for what do you want to do for your daughter as she grows up? What path or ideal plans do you have for her?
Honestly, I just want her to be happy. I mean, whatever she decides to do, I just want her to be happy. If she wants to be a ballerina, if she wants to be a wrestler, you know, if she wants to be a professor, I just want her to be happy. You know,
she's gonna be.
That's pretty much it. I think that parents put a lot of standards on kids nowadays.
Yeah.
Or like my mom used to tell me, oh, you can be anything. You can be anything you want to be.
Yeah.
And I took that to heart, and I was like, okay, well, I'll be anything. You know, I did background dancing, and, you know, I worked at a fast food to see if I liked it. I worked at a Publix to see if I liked that. You know, I did professional, you know, did soccer for a minute. You know, I did a whole bunch of little things just to see if I like it. You know, joining the Air Force, you know, went to GameStop. I worked at Spencer's. You know, I did everything that I necessarily wanted to do. You know, like I went out and I did it.
She comes from a family of having a mom and dad that throws mean back elbows. So have you silently caught her doing this in her room by herself?
Well, she does beat up her life-size Minnie Mouse a lot. And she has her little signature move where if you're laying down at any point in time, she's going to run and she hits those double knees. And she did it one time to me, the first time she did it. And I was like, okay, that hurts. She did it the second time. I definitely posted. I had my arms up. I was like, oh no, look, you're not about to mess up my rib cage with little bony knees. That's not what's gonna happen. she stays throwing them double knees, man. It's just yeah, and she'd be fast counting too, man. She'd be like 1, 2, 3, I win, ding ding. I was like, okay, like, okay, I got you next time. All
right. So currently, who's the champ in the house?
She is, man. She's the champ. She is. I mean, I'm second though. I'm second.
Okay. No wonder why she didn't clean her room.
Yeah. No, I mean, she'll clean up her room when she feels like, oh, mom, my room's junky. I gotta clean it. Okay, go do
that. So big Whitney Houston fan. This is where it's gonna get interesting, right?
Okay.
Do we start with the good or the bad with this?
Let's start with the bad. I'm always good with the bad.
I really want to know genuinely. I'm a Whitney Houston fan, so that's not going to be the problem. I genuinely want to know because I when I was researching this and I saw that you was a Whitney Houston fan, I was like, yes. And then it just remembered the last thing that burnt me up about just hearing her name, the Lifetime biopic. Can't.
Don't do this. Okay, go ahead.
I generally just want to straight up question, like generally your total emotions after watching it of just how did you feel?
Well, I'll tell you, man, when I was watching it and then Bobby showed up, I definitely did the Bobby. I was screaming at my TV. You know, watching it, I was like, okay, I already knew Whitney was, you know, trill. You know, to say to say the least. But just the portraying of her being, you know, all like, oh, Bobby, you ain't, you know, type of thing, and Bobby being, you know, typical cheating bastard. I was like, this, you know, it had me in my feelings. I was like, oh, I know you ain't doing that to Whitney, like she's still alive or something, you know.
Yeah.
It had me in my feelings. Definitely, I definitely shed maybe one thug tear. One, only one.
I really don't want Lifetime to ever be in control of making another biopic. I mean, they just completely dropped the ball.
No, Lifetime didn't make they didn't make a biopic. They basically took the same story that they make every single day, featuring little white girls from Nebraska, and put Whitney Houston's name in it.
So, favorite song, favorite movie. Let's cover it.
Favorite song, favorite movie. Favorite song is "I Got Nothing But Love for You" by the 5 Heartbeats. Favorite movie is 5 Heartbeats.
What about for Whitney?
For Whitney, favorite song would be "Saving All My Love for You."
I'm with you there.
Yeah, it's such a good song. You know, it just touches your soul. And you're like, oh.
Yeah, every time you hear it, yeah. Yep. Thug tears.
How did you feel about the?
I'm sorry.
How did you feel about the Christina Aguilera's performance? Oh dear.
Oh God, I forgot that. I forget.
Nah, look. Now I'm gonna say this once. I'm gonna say this one time. If Whitney wanted all them runs in that song, she would have put all them runs in that song. All right. Look, runs are ornamental. Okay, they're not fundamental.
If Jennifer Hudson wasn't going through what she was going through, that's the only person that
I
have
they
faith
need to
in.
call Jennifer Hudson what they call every other man who do the same stuff that she just pulled. I'm just saying, she knows she wrong. She knows she
know
wrong.
it. She know it.
She knows she wrong.
Bodyguard away.
You do better. Look, it's sad. Got all them gospel songs, then gonna do all that. A mess.
Yeah, but the whole situation is messy, and Otunga did some dirt too. So we can't say that everybody's clean in it.
I know, but that was some foul stuff she did.
Oh no, it was. It absolutely was. But
I hear taking photos with her producer like it's all good.
Well,
she had a choice. She could have just left.
Yeah. Well,
just left. But she decided to be foul. That's a decision.
Yeah.
For my movie, though,
has consequences. Oh my Lord.
For my movie, though, definitely the Bodyguard or Waiting to Exhale.
The Bodyguard, Waiting to Exhale. Big shout out to Auntie Angela Bassett. I love you.
Hey, that new show she about to come out with is gonna be awesome. On 911, that's coming out. That's gonna be good. That's gonna be good. Jamal.
So I saw just doing a little bit of homework. That you're actually a fan of BTS.
Yes.
So like, is it just them, or are you into K-pop as a whole?
I'm into K-pop as a whole. Like I like Blackpink. I like EXO. I like Big Bang. T.O.P. GD. I went to a G-Dragon concert when he was here last time in Miami. So that was actually a lot of fun. I can't wait for BTS to come back.
Yep.
Especially after all that whole Mama Show debacle.
Oh, okay. If you want to talk about a bag of trash, Mnet. Get your shit together.
Mnet. Throw the whole network away. Throw it away. You're doing wrong. You're doing wrong. As Michael Jackson would say, you doing wrong. Doing wrong. Doing wrong.
Good. I mean, I'm a big K-pop guy. Red Velvet is my absolute favorite. Their new album is fantastic. But yeah, BTS EXO. I've seen BTS 3 times in concert.
Really? I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
I mean, flights from DC to Chicago ain't that much, so we got to keep moving.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and in New York, they come to New York every year, so that's like it's a 4-hour drive. So.
Well, not for me.
No.
No. 4 hours.
But I'm sure you can take a booking to do it. I mean, you can take a booking to get a concert up there, real quick.
I'm sorry.
You can take a booking to get a concert in there real quick.
You know what? That's the smartest thing I done heard all day.
So what is it about K-pop that piques your interest? Assuming that you don't speak Korean, is it the dancing? Is it the video? Is it the whole package?
It is. Well, first it was the dancing, and then of course I love the songs. I love the meaning behind them. My dad actually is fluent in Korean, so yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe listen to Korean, learn a few things. So he calls on the phone. I'm like, annyeong. He's like, oh, annyeong. It's like the cutest little thing. So first I was like, oh, I really like BTS. I really like Big Bang. Getting into them, and then it just kind of took over from there. Yeah. Especially after they putting out the English tracks and stuff. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest thing is the album drops, and then 20 minutes later on YouTube, the English subs drop by fans around the world.
Right, it's crazy.
Right, and then now it's on iTunes and Spotify and all that good stuff too. So, but BTS is amazing.
Mm-hmm. They are. They're pretty.
So,
and I'm hoping for another concert.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Come back, BTS. Come back.
So talking about again in another group of company, people you worked within like the last 2 years or since you debuted. I mean, you've wrestled another Clearwater native and Ariana Blake. Ariana Blake. Aria Blake, yes. I keep saying say it like the hotel, and I just keep forgetting. Aria Blake, Kiera Hogan, Priscilla Kelly of the Carnies, Sue Young, and you know, if you team with Audra Pereira and Savannah Evans, I mean,
Savannah Evans no more.
Yeah. In the past. In the past, when you debuted back in the Queens of Combat days, right?
Right, yeah.
But I mean, all these names are big names that are on the way up in the indies. They're no longer just, you know, by state names. People are hearing about them all over the country.
Yeah.
Could you tell me about working with some of them, some of your you know,
well,
go ahead.
I'll tell you what, Sue was probably one of my favorites because we just had, you know, complete creative control of what we wanted to do, and we were just like, oh, I want to put a pumpkin in there, I want to put this in there. We were just like all over the place. Working with Aja is amazing. Like, we click and we gel, and one thing that's funny is that our gear, we didn't know if it was going to match. And we were just like, oh, okay, I have purple and green. Okay, I have purple and green too. Let's just wear it and see how it looks. And next thing you know, it was like, oh, snap. Well, you done did something. So that was pretty awesome. The Cutie Pie Club, they're always great to work because, you know, when they're doing like their gaga, it's like you have to sit there and like, okay, I'm not going to laugh. I'm not gonna laugh. Like, don't look at Candy. Don't do it. Like, don't laugh at her, please. But it was definitely, you know, those I guess are the ones that really, I guess, stand out the most as far as like the memorable ones. I really liked my match with Priscilla Kelly as well. It was very interesting working her, you know, especially with her gimmick.
Yeah.
And you know, she does like the 666 thing, and you know, Hell's Favorite Harlot. And at the time, I was doing like the whole "Want to See Jesus," so of course it was like Jesus.
That was so good. Yeah, that was so good. I got something to ask about that too. That was so good.
So we were cracking up at that. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Down with the devil.
You've also said, you know, one of your dream match opponents would be Mickie James. Does that still stand, or is there anybody else now that really piques your interest?
I would love to work Mickie James. I would love to work Tessa Blanchard. I was supposed to work her at PWX when we were first like super green, but it never really happened. So I really want to have that match, you know, because like I said, we're both, you know, George South girls, so we're already going to click. We're already really good friends, you know, so the magic, you know, and the chemistry is going to be there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I have to say I'm a big fan of your finisher, which is the ripcord elbow, which you are calling dirty dancing. Can you tell me about the whole creative aspect of coming up with this?
Well, one, I love Okada, and two, I was like, you know what, maybe I can do something where it's like a dance. And Cedric was like, oh, maybe like a ripcord type of thing. And I was like, yeah, something like that, where it's like, oh, got him.
Yeah.
So when I actually was working out the kinks in our living room, he was like, okay. He's like, that's it right there. He's like, well, what are you gonna call it? I was like, I don't know, something dancing. I was like, oh, dirty dancing. Yeah. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I approve. I was like, yep. That's it.
Yeah, speaking of that match with Priscilla Kelly, the way you hit it that time, Jesus Christ. Right? Off with her head.
I thought we were going to spin out of control.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we're going so fast. Like, oh, well, that's it.
Jamal, you was about to say something?
So you're out in Los Angeles for Rise, and so how important is that? You do a lot of shows in the Southeast, Florida, North Carolina, and such, Atlanta. But you're in Los Angeles. It's a big deal. It's an all-woman show. A hell of a card. Who are you taking on this weekend? Or tomorrow, I guess.
It's a surprise.
That's probably why I can't find it. The second question is...
It's a surprise. I mean, most people have said that I am most likely going to be wrestling Penelope Ford. but I don't know. We'll see.
I've seen some names thrown out there, but nothing conclusive. That's why I want to ask. How important is it for all women shows like this to happen? Personally, I'm going to Toronto this weekend for the Canusa Classic from Smash Wrestling. The Macon Towns Classic in Nashville, Tennessee is next year. Nova Pro is having a women's tournament next year. And as women wrestling continues to evolve in this country, how important is it for shows like this to continue the trend?
It's super important. I believe that if you do this and you give women a platform to go out there and showcase their talent, then they're gonna take it, use it, and they're gonna increase it like tenfold. I'm pretty sure you heard, you give your woman one thing and she'll increase it, tenfold, fivefold. That's pretty much what's happening now. Is that one person started the whole tournament thing, and then next you know it's like a spitfire of tournaments everywhere. And that's giving women a chance, and women that's not seen a lot of the times, a chance to go out there and actually truly shine. So it is important to create opportunities for those who need them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's important enough for you to fly all the way out to Los Angeles for.
Oh yeah, this is important.
Yeah. Also, very important is that Medusa and Bo Nakano will have like VIP sessions and stuff like that. Can you talk about a little who your influences are as either a fan of wrestling or a participant in wrestling?
When I was growing up, I was a big fan of Macho Man, and he taught me a lot because he was so approachable. Like I would see him around, the neighborhoods and around like the skate parks and stuff. Back in the day when you actually used to skate, and it was like. He was like, oh, that's cool. Can you show me again? And, he was so nice. And I was like, you know what? When I grow up and I become a superstar, I want to be like that. Just a human, not figuring that I'm above anybody else or somebody's below me. Just be approachable and personable. That I think that was like the biggest thing for me between him and, of course, Hulk Hogan. Growing up, I loved him. And I used to watch like Medusa and Ivory and Jackie and, just everything that I can get my hands on. I always wanted to watch. And then of course I look up to like, Cedric, of course.
Aww.
Don't tell him. Look, exit that one out.
Yeah, you sparked the question I was about to ask, and this went right over my head that quick.
Oh, come on, Grandpa.
I know, man. I got to get together. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. A lot of people have been upon the promotion for the show. A lot of people were asking me. So I guess this is a general fan question: is what is it going to take to get you in other regions? Since you have been predominantly within the Florida area or the Carolinas area, what is it going to take to get you down to Texas, to get you back up north, towards our area or near Chicago? What's it going to get you in those areas?
Honestly, it's just grinding hard, getting that word out. Word of mouth is one of the biggest tools. If a certain person wants me to, hey, I want you to be at Nova, or I want you to be at whatever, then just let them know. And I'll reach out to the promoters and get my, video package together. And I'm just, trying to go everywhere right now.
Say no more.
Okay.
Look, word of
say
mouth.
no more.
Tell them about your girl.
So if you're watching this, get the DMs ready. His name is Mike King at North Wrestling.
Yeah, get the DMs because, I'm trying to wrestle everybody.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrestle. Trying to wrestle Willow. What up?
Oh my God, it's Willow. It's Willow Nightingale.
It's Willow. I know, right? We're all crazy. Oh no.
Yeah, y'all all crazy.
Yeah, I'm crazy. Willow broke the production.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, my phone's probably about to die. That's probably why the video went off.
Okay, now we'll get to the last few things I got real quick. American Airlines today has been all over the news with their glitches, with not having enough pilots to fly their planes. Did you have any issues today, or any comps or anything? How crazy was it for you?
With American, no. The only thing I had today was a 5-hour flight early in the morning, and the lady would have put down her little visor thing, so the sun was just in my eye. It was only my eye too. So of course I had to lean over. When you lean over the thing, you just try to fall asleep. But the person in front of you wants to put a seat back that 1 inch because he's so uncomfortable. But I'm like, I'm laying here, brother. Look, you just gonna have to be uncomfortable like me.
Yeah.
So, no, they didn't give nobody no comps, no nothing.
Okay.
I mean, it's a computer glitch. Hopefully it's not, a computer glitch with our boys because, they have to leave Christmas Day to go to Chicago. I mean, good luck with that because, them flights gonna be canceled.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't get to Chicago in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, nah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But that's good. I saw you post your your tickets. I was like, oh, I hope she didn't have any problems getting over there because that's all they've been talking about all day. It's ridiculous just with that. So you are up for the Carolinas Pro Wrestling Awards for Female Wrestler of the Year, which is absolutely great. And awesome. You have it promoted. The one serious question I have is, how do I vote? I literally searched all day, couldn't find any links to get to that.
You know what? I think at this point, I think they let people vote into the finals, and maybe they make the final decision.
Oh, okay.
Because I haven't seen anything where people can go vote. I scrubbed that whole entire page, trying to find it, and I couldn't find anything. So I just guessed that was how it's going to work out. That's right. End, is they pick.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Fans put them up there, and then they just oh, okay, well, this one gets it this year. I guess I don't know.
Few other things I have. One, which I was going to ask to a question earlier, is how big? I mean, Cedric is very infamous for this, and I want to know for you, how big is not only just doing the work in the ring, but the storytelling that you give in the ring? Because, like you said, with the Priscilla Kelly match, it was the devil versus God's angel, sort of say. But and as good as the match was, having that added bit of story also made it just as good. But how big is that for you going into a match?
It's psychology is one of the most important things to me, honestly. I'm already, I was already athletic beforehand. So, that can come with time and patience and practice. But storytelling and psychology, I think that is one of the most important things that you can learn, in wrestling. And that's what I like to think about first before I go into a match is how is this going to be portrayed? Yeah. How can I get this over? How can I get this person over? What are we doing here? Those kind of things run through my mind. Not just this is how you set a matchup, and this is the only way you set a matchup. Yeah. I'm trying to think outside the box, maybe I've always been told it should be like a roller coaster. It should be like up, not just bam, bam, So that's super important to me going into a match is psychology. It's one of the reasons why I waited a whole year before I got into a ring was that I was like, okay, I'm learning how to wrestle, but I want to get the mentality down first. I want to get that in there. So it's, I always ask, such questions and always like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? Try to randomly grab him and, start chaining in the middle of the living room, just actively trying to get better, watching old tapes, watching World of Sport, seeing other versions of wrestling and how other people see it, so that, maybe two things can click that wasn't there before. So, yeah, to me, storytelling is super important.
Okay.
Do you think that there is a lack of storytelling, considering that people are so athletic nowadays, where instead of it being set up in like a 3-act play, it's more who can outspot each other?
I mean, sometimes that does happen. It just depends on the audience, really. Certain audiences, they like that. That's, like the North Philly crowd is going to be different from the West Coast crowd. It just is all about knowing your crowd. I mean, it could be, spot after spot, or it could be just a complete story, which all groundwork, Just depends on who you're in front of. never gonna knock anybody for however they perceive wrestling to be. That's how they perceive it to be.
Right.
So.
Well, that'll be the age-old debate, as we've seen last year with Ricochet and Ospreay, and then the old guys were like, ugh, and the new guys were like, yay. But it's all a matter of what you like and what you take from it.
Right.
I've been told to my face that intergender wrestling would never take off, and yet we have Becky Lynch versus James Ellsworth on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, so, I mean, people can say a whole bunch of things, but no one knows really what's going to happen.
Yeah, I guess the last thing I have for you, since Cedric is such an important part of your life, and I know that you know that it's part of the business, and I know that it's part of the business, but his storyline with Alicia Fox late last year, that's a thing, and we all know what it is, except those that don't. What is your reaction necessarily to that bit of business, because it is business, but the people that just don't get it? Like, how do you go forward when you know that you just see people that just don't understand what it is?
I'll tell you what I told Cedric the day he had to kiss her. I was like, brother, this is a regular old Tuesday, okay? You better go out there and get that job done. You better go out there and get that check. You understand? Look, you better pretend like it's me. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Look, just go out there and do your job. This what they want. You do it. You contract it. You do it. That's how it is. So, most people are like, oh, you should have been there. Even Alicia and I, we joked about, oh, maybe, they should let me come up in there and I, slap you a couple times, something where I come in like, oh, no, you ain't about to take my man type of thing. And, like, we just joked about it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that'd be funny if it actually did happen. And everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't let Cedric do stuff like that. And I'm like, think about what you just said. I shouldn't let my man do something. Like, no. Honey, that's called trying to control somebody. That's how you lose a man.
Right. Well, then I guess the better question is there a limit? I mean, WWE has scaled back a lot of their shenanigans from the late 90s and early 2000s. But is there a limit where you or he are not allowed to go, per se?
If there was a limit, I'm pretty sure he would know. It's all about him and making the decisions, if he's going to be fine with that at the end of the day. If he can live with himself with doing whatever or how deep ever it goes, then okay. But at the end of the day, I know where his heart lies. I know where we are as, with our relationship. So, I mean, there's nothing that I've seen on WWE where if Cedric was supposed to do it, I'd be like, okay.
Somebody,
because it's scripted. So it's not us.
Somebody cue one of those Whitney Houston songs in real quick, because it's getting real now. My last two questions I have for you. So this week marks the anniversary of 205 Live, and they've been sending emails to people asking, this feedback for it since it's been a year. I mean, obviously there's a problem there since they're doing, such a thing. It's, because they're engaging in fans' interest of like, what can they do to make it better? From somebody who has the IQ in the business, who's close, has a good ear to the show. I'm not going to say what's the problem, but what advice would you throw creative towards how could they make that show so much better, considering the abundance of talent in there?
Right. I think honestly, I think that there's a whole bunch of people going for one belt, and it's like the same issue that everybody has with like all the NXT girls going for one belt. Like we need something else. Like they just need something else there, to keep them occupied. Because I think that Enzo is one of the best things that happened in 205 Live. Because right now I think they're like number 2 on the network, and they're doing way better than when they first started. So I think it's just a matter of introducing something else, and maybe a secondary belt or something else where it can engage the folks a little bit more.
I think part of the problem has been that we saw what the Cruiserweight Classic was. We saw our variants of styles and movesets, and we haven't seen that since. Do you think that, sure, there's one belt, but do you think that's part of the problem is that there's a feeling of being handcuffed? in the cruiserweight division, where they really don't understand, compared to WCW's cruiserweight division, what they actually have. So we're not seeing Billy Kidman versus Rey Mysterio, but we know damn well that Cedric versus Noam Dar can have that type of match in their sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. I think it's just a matter of. I think it's just a matter of them finally understanding what they really do have, because they have some amazing athletes in there. They just let them go out there and do what they've been doing for years. Then I think it'll shine. It'll be way better. Because I believe that, because most of them were on like the indies beforehand, so they were used to having that creative freedom. So when you go to some place and now you're having someone to tell you, what to do and how to do it, that can sometimes cause like a little disturbance inside of you. You're just like, like I know what I can do. Just let me do it. Mm-hmm. It's like they're all just trying to get out of that shell, but they're like trying to, guess in a way, suppress them a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I think if they just let them go and do the things that they already know how to do, that I think the show will just get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I definitely think by aligning people who work better as heels and better as faces is a good start. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Straight up. And absolutely think Cedric's best work is him as a heel. Some of his most.
Oh yeah, I tell Cedric all the time. I love that whole 2015 Ring of Honor where he had that little twinge inside of his eye. Where you're just like, he's an aggressive baby. It's one of the things that I like try to model myself after. Yeah. I don't like being a regular baby face. I like being an aggressive baby. Yeah. Like I'm a nice woman, very respectful woman. But if you piss me off, that's your ass. That's just the motto, Like, and I like that attitude he has when he wrestles. Like that was it the No DQ I Quit match or whatever it was with Noam Dar? Like amazing. Or when he jacked up Enzo, 2 weeks ago. Like you saw it, you're like, yes, give it to me, give it to me.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, yes, give me that, Cedric, give me that one.
Now, you just stated how you can get riled up. We see how he can get riled up. And I, quite frankly, I think the biggest heel in that family is his mom, because she has definitely made a presence on the indies with throwing, throwing cheers.
Throwing that chair at Eddie Edwards is like my favorite.
And it's Samoa Joe.
And Samoa Joe. She threw it from all the way in the back, like Rosa Parks, to the front. All the way to the front, made it into the ring.
Oh my God! I
saw that thing come up, and it was like, oh my God, a chair, like from the Boondocks.
How
exactly how I felt.
How is it around the holidays with so many personalities like that?
It's interesting because Cedric is different from his mother, and he's like the black sheep of the family. So it's interesting to see them click, because she'll say something and then she'll give him that look and then go off the handle, and he'd be like, "Oh my God, Mom!" Da, da, da. And then his brother come in and be like, "Look, man, Cedric, I told you, man, you can't be saying stuff like that around Mom. You know she be going off." So it's interesting to see them go back and forth. The total opposite of like my family. Total opposite. But it's cool.
I can imagine. So yeah, before we get out of here, we gotta again thank you for coming on. We definitely got to do this more. We definitely got to get you up near our area, like in the ring this time.
Yeah, we need you in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
hey, shout out to Boost Mobile, to Cricket rather, for the service though. I mean that's
thank you, Cricket. I mean that whole merger thing y'all did with using AT&T towers. Thank you. It's cheap.
They did
that same plan at AT&T, except cheaper. I like that.
Oh, thank you, Hot Topic, for being the backdrop for this. Cali for
you see, they got me up here in Hot Topic. They buying all this stuff in here.
Hey, I was in there Black Friday, man. They had the $10 shirts. I was racking up.
We tried our best to stay out of Hot Topic on Black Friday. We really did. We went to box lunch though.
Oh yeah.
We went to box lunch, yeah.
So, you got to tell us, where can the people find you? Also, too, you got to plug your gear person, whoever makes your gear.
Shout out to Clint Stevens from Tennessee. He's the one who does Cedric and our gear. And he
Legit.
does very legit quick work. It's beautiful, the bold colors, everything. It's always on point, always fits. It's great. His turnaround service is fast. So shout out to Clint. But you can find me on Twitter at Ariel Monroe. That's AERIAL, or on Instagram at Ariel_Monroe, or Facebook at Ariel Monroe.
You heard it from her. So, Jamal, any other questions for you before we roll out, man?
No, just a thank you. Hopefully we'll run into each other at like a KCON.
Yeah.
Or LA. We definitely need you up here and for Nova Pro or MCW or one of the local things, because Florida's a tad far. Just saying. But we'll definitely have to see you sooner, hopefully the later. And Will Nightingale is one of my favorites like ever. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm like fangirling right now internally. I'm trying to keep it together.
keep it together.
But yeah, thank you for coming on, man. It's been a blast.
Thank you for having me, you guys. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Not a problem. Hey, look, for everybody that's in the Carolinas, for everybody that's in Cali, be sure to check her out this weekend. She will be working the AWS. Go ahead. It's
AWS, but tomorrow night it's Rise 6 Brutality.
Mm-hmm.
GA is $10. You have GA VIP with Medusa and Boy Nakano for $55. Doors open at 6:30 Pacific, and all others at 7:30. It's the American Legion Post 335, 35 California Avenue, South Gate, CA, at Rise DTWA on the Twitter machine. So go out there and get yourself some good old-fashioned women's wrestling. And they have a ridiculous 4-on-4 intergender match.
Yeah, make sure you
with
get
Jimmy
that early.
Jacobs. Yeah, I mean, so there are going to be people early. There's a huge meet and greet early before and after the show, but you get there early. Have some fun. It's going to be a hell of a show.
And if I'm not mistaken, it is sold out, but there is a possibility that some more tickets may be available.
There's extra. I think there's going to be standing only seats, as well as I think some VIPs are open as well. And if you can't make it, there's always the iPay-per-view. They're going to be streaming the show. So.
And then on December 15th.
16th.
Yep. 16th.
Yeah.
At least you know your dates. At least you know your dates.
I do.
And then you'll be working Shine, which is going to be Shine. I'm drawing a blank.
46.
46, yes.
That was 46?
Yes.
It's one of them numbers. Survival. And I will survive.
One
I will survive.
One other thing too, I wasn't sure and I didn't see anything. I noticed that you at Shimmer also too in your picture of your plane ticket. Are they doing anything out there this weekend?
Dave is here.
Dave
is here, so your girl's gonna have to do a little something extra.
I hear that. No days off.
Extra. Look, some extra. Look. See, this is why you don't let us come into stores. This is why.
Right.
This is why.
Hey, y'all superstars, because if that would have been back in Iowa, we would have been kicked out. But hey, it's all good.
I know.
Yeah, basically. Do that for that long. Without we have security come through.
Main link is popping. Ariel Monroe, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming on the show. And everybody that's checked it out. Again, we appreciate you coming on. To everybody that's, retweeted, mentioned, questions, all that. We appreciate all the love. You make sure you check out. We gave you the dates. We gave you the Twitter handles. This is the Big Gold Belt Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yes, thank you. See you guys.